Good afternoon, folks. I finally waited for a test drive. Let's go test the ET9. So just so you know, we have the Yanvan U7, MyAxtra, and ET9 coming up. I specifically bought a used i7 for this purpose, because I don't make enough money even for a used Maybach to do such experiments and testing. I got lucky. I got it for the price of an L9, 19,000 mileage. And I hope that after the test MyAxtra, it will be the latest, it will be somewhere in the summer. I will be able to sell it at least at this price. It's a test drive car, and they gave it to me at a very good price. Today is going to be an unusual comparison. Today, we are comparing the suspension, not the interior, which is what interests me most. The ET9's interior is well known. Everyone knows this i7. It has a ceiling screen, air suspension, auto doors, massages, heating, and ventilation. The multimedia system here is so frustrating that I feel like I need to exit this vehicle immediately. There's no voice assistant. The autopilot is very strange. And I don't trust its auto parking system, so the comparison will be unusual. We are turning a blind eye to all of this, stepping over it, and today we are comparing how these cars drive. Why? Because, of course, it would be better to do this with a Maybach. But I must say again, I don't earn enough for a Maybach, and I don't want to drive this car or a Maybach either. I like the U8 better. And just for the sake of experimentation, I don't want to buy a Maybach, even a used one, and then struggle to sell it properly. A BMW is a reasonable choice. These cars are close in price to the ET9. This new one will probably even be a little pricier. We need to understand that this is the most sophisticated vehicle in BMW's entire lineup. They couldn't do better than this car in the business class. That's their maximum. So today we're comparing the maximum from BMW and the maximum from Nio. Well, I'm finally in the Nio. 700 horsepower, 4 seconds to 100, electric high-drop pneumatic suspension, rear wheels thrust by 8 degrees. Listen, it's finally quiet at the Nio. This is the first Nio that's actually quiet. I can't believe it. Now we will measure the noise of two cars at the same road, but keep in mind, this is a 45 profile. I've set the pressure to 2.5 already. And there it's 2 and 8 with a 40 profile. Theoretically, it should be noisier there. I can't hear the tires. The sound is coming from somewhere above. I don't hear the tires. I'm very comfortable sitting here because the steering wheel reach is beyond excellent. I've stretched my legs out nicely, and I'm just sitting perfectly. I sit better here than in my U8 and even better than i7. Both seats are pretty good. I'd even say very good seats, but it's perfect here. I'm currently driving a route that I specifically prepared. I drove it before in the 7. There were quite unpleasant manholes along the road, and in principle that's why I chose this road. They are quite deep and it's time to fix them. I think they will be repaired soon. They have already sagged a lot. So, look. This car goes through manholes more smoothly. It's barely wobbling at all. The i7 wobble more. I feel it dip. It shakes more, but it's quieter overall. Here it makes more noise at the moment of impact. Here's me almost not wobbling, but the sounds... Here's another manhole. I'm almost not wobbling, but I can hear the wheel going into it. They still lack the knowledge of how to do that. Make it work quietly. I'd say the suspension performs at the level of the L9 and the Huawei M9. That price tag here and what they gave for that money in general, given that kind of equipment, those kinds of materials, and that size in general. The car costs $110,000. It's hard to be picky, but I'd say there's more work to be done here. In this car, the Huawei Maextra probably going to have the same thing. The U7, and who else out there has the money? Well, maybe the Geely Corporation has the money to put that suspension in the Zeekr 9X. I don't know. It's probably not in the price range to get that suspension. Maybe they'll put it in a Lotus or a Volvo, probably. I want to see how nimble it is in tight spaces. Let's see how the BMW performs. Unfortunately, frontally two wheels, it doesn't cut the speed bumps like butter. I expected it to be like the Bose suspension, so it just goes through. No, it bounces on it. With one wheel, I passed it just like butter, and with two wheels, I bounced like an i7. I didn't feel any difference. If you ask how soft the front wheel bump feels in a speed bump, well, very close to the Li9, close to the M9, the i7 is basically the same in that regard. I wouldn't say it's any kind of outstanding suspension over severe bumps. For some reason, I thought that maybe they could get two wheels to go through any obstacle. Speed bump. Smoothly. Here, heads-up display high-quality picture, but you can't open a full large map like in Li9, while you can in Nio. I like the carbon transition. I don't like the wood, but the transition is exactly what I chose. There were several options. I chose the one with the carbon. And see this garland? I turned it off entirely. Let me show you what it looks like. For example, I turned on sport mode, and now it's lit up. But I simply switch it off, because it annoys me. I turned it on for my wife, and I asked her how she would describe this garland. She said museum. Well, I guess she has her own way of thinking. I don't see it as a museum, I see it as a disco in the village. In other words, they attempted to enhance the luxury of this vehicle using that garland, but minimalism is currently trendy. The display in terms of the image quality is very good both here and there. There are no questions about the image quality at all. The only issues are with the Tamagotchi shell, but there are no questions about the screen itself. I hope to test the handling on the Autobahn next week, but in the city, I would say this. I like the ET9 suspension better. Even though it's not as quiet as the i7, the ET9 turns a little better. It's more stable. This car has less bounce on bumps and is steadier. When braking sharply and accelerating, the 7 tends to nosedive and lift, making the ET9 more stable in comparison. The handling should perhaps be compared to the i7 M70, which features a more compressed suspension. But with extras, it costs 219,000 euros, which is exactly twice as much. Also keep in mind that on very deep manholes, the ET9 as well as the 7 also falls down. There is a roll, but it is less. I mean, it's a fancy suspension, smoothly and softly passes only small and medium bumps. Speed also matters. The slower you go, the softer it passes them, so how softly it works in a deep manhole, I and my spouse in the back seat said the same thing, almost identical to the i7. Moreover, the gilevich.eng L9 and the Huawei M9, as well as here and in the BMW i7, are close in terms of softness, but the 7 has the quietest suspension. In general, it is a fashionable 5-lever electric high-drop pneumatic. It is not about revolutionary softness. It is about stability and smoothness on small and medium bumps and bends of asphalt. I've already driven a BMW on the Autobahn. Now I'm wondering how the Nio drives about the i7. I'll say this. As I mentioned earlier, all BMW handling is in the M series. The regular 7 is nothing special, not even close. It's just a bit better than average for its size. And trust me, this is a completely accurate evaluation of regular BMW handling. In the i7 xDrive 60, it takes the same 4 seconds to reach 100 as here. Considering the huge discounts on electric Germans in China, they cost about the same. Battery 100 kilowatt hours both there and here. I want to praise the i7. It really passes 500 kilometers in summer on one charge. Personally checked, in the city of course. They weigh the same, 2,700 kilograms. It remains to check the range of the Nio, which I hope to do in the next test. How much higher I sit here. It feels almost like a crossover. Getting in and out is a little more comfortable than in the 7. Next, the wheels, 23rd, 265 by 40 come at the top, but outside of China, I would definitely take the basic 22nd with 45th profile and immediately lowered the pressure to 2 and 4. There is a very complex suspension. I think everyone can guess that it is better to save it. In terms of equipment, ET9 will be more tricked out. There are hot stone massages for back and butt, refrigerator, elbow warmers, touchpads, 2 captain's chairs with a table. The multimedia and smart features are from another planet. So, in a few days we will test its handling at 140 plus. So stay tuned, subscribe, write what you think. I say goodbye to you, see you again.